All right, it's been a long time coming, so man, I've been knowing this guy for some years. So I got
Yep.
to ask you, Harp, off the bat, just growing up, who were some of your favorite players?
Growing up, Walt Frazier is
Ooh,
my all-time favorite. New York Knickerbocker. Great defensive player, very savvy offensively. I've always liked Clyde. I liked Tiny Archibald, lefty that was very clever. Earl the Pearl played with Clyde. You know, I know the history of the game,
mm-hmm.
and I've always appreciated it, what those guys did before me. I think people think that the league just became a great league, but it was a great league back then as well.
I love it, love it. So that leads to my next question. Being a point guard, your Mount Rushmore. If you had four to put on your Mount Rushmore, I'm assuming Tiny and Walt would be on that Mount Rushmore. Or if not, who would be the four that you would put on your Mount Rushmore?
Man, that
I know
is
it's on the spot.
that's
It's a good
on the
one.
spot, and it's a difficult question.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Tiny for sure
Okay.
because he was one of the first point guards to average 20 and 10 points
Yeah.
in NBA history.
Yeah.
From there, I'm going to go Magic Johnson,
Yeah.
who is a huge facilitator, a guy
Yeah.
that finds open people and run the team. From there, my goodness, this is hard.
Yeah. That's on the spot.
From there, I would have to say Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
I think Zeke was so underrated
Wow.
at what he did. And last but not least, I'm going to go with, golly,
It's tough.
I'm going to go, and I don't know if Steph Curry is a point guard or not,
Yeah.
but I'm going to throw Steph on there
I
for
like
sure.
that. I like that, man. So, one thing, just watching your game, intensity, toughness, defense.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Because like a lot of guys
Well,
don't commit themselves on that end like
right.
that.
The defensive part, it was just something that I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed shutting people down. I didn't like to trade buckets with people. I always wanted to be able to slow guys down, contain the ball as a defensive guard, but just wanted to be an all-around versatile basketball player more than anything.
I love it, love it. So, for me, just, growing up a Mavs fan, those 80s teams, Aguirre, Lagman, yourself. I mean, like, when we look at the history of basketball, I always tell people they took that Showtime team to 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big
Can
time.
you talk about that team and
Yes, I will.
what should have been, probably?
Man, if it wasn't for the Lakers, we would have got to the finals all the time. But we couldn't knock off the Lakers. They were Showtime, to your point. And just had a hard time from that standpoint getting by them. But my team, the guys that you just named, I'll put them up against any 5, any 12 guys, the championship team here.
Yeah.
I'd go to war with each and every one of those guys any day against any team in the NBA and NBA history, to be quite frank with you. I believed in those guys.
Oh, no, that team was legit. James Donaldson. Man, the list goes on. The guys
and if Roy Tarpley wasn't going through his sickness, there's no doubt we would have won a championship back then.
Rest in peace to Roy Tarpley. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, another thing is this. So you mentioned Walt Frazier and you mentioned just some of those guys from back then, but then you had a chance to go play for the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to play with a guy like Patrick Ewing.
Yes.
And we know those Knicks teams, those tough teams, man.
Yep.
How was that? And obviously, the competition was Michael Jordan. Because it's like you had the run in of like having to face the Showtime, then all of a sudden, here comes the Bulls.
Yeah, and the East.
Yeah.
The Mecca is where it's at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where basketball is born, and if you can play there and find success there, you can do it anywhere, is what's said. But it was a good experience. Got to be in movies, sitcoms, you name it, just by being in that market. The market off the court is just as fun and successful as it is on the floor. So it was a great experience. Almost won a championship.
Yeah.
Being a Knick, lost in Game 7 to the Rockets in '94. And good times. I feel fortunate that I got a chance to play in New York and in LA, 2 major markets.
All right, a few more questions. So there's a player, like I always ask, especially some of our legends of the past, when you look at today's NBA, who's the guy that relates to you as a player that you look at and say, man, that was me when I was younger? A guy that comes to mind for me when I watch him play because he puts it all out defensively is Drew Holiday. Being a point guard, obviously,
I
maybe on the scoring end, he may not be as like intense on defense as you are, but is there any player in the league that you look at today and say, that's a young number 12 right there?
That's a great pick because I love Drew Holiday.
Yeah,
And I would certainly say that if I had to pick somebody
yeah,
and that semi remind
yeah.
themselves of me, it would be Drew,
I love that.
without a doubt. You asked me a question that
Yeah.
you already had the answer to.
Yeah, I was going to see if you had somebody in mind, but I think
No,
Drew is the perfect
Drew
one.
for sure. That's a good comparison.
I love it, man. You know, one thing, obviously, you know, you always been a great person towards me, a good friend.
Absolutely.
The one thing I think is the defining moment is that jersey retirement.
Oh, good. I mean, it's something I'll never forget. And, you know, I think the unique thing about having your jersey retired is when you set out to play this game, I think the last thing you think about is having your jersey retired.
Yeah.
And when it happened, it was surreal. You know, I'm not one that's into individual accolades, but that's one that I'll never forget, and just honored that it's up there.
I love it. I love it. All right, last question. So let's fast forward. Obviously, doing TV now, you see some generational guys come through. When you look at this guy, Luka, and the potential that he has, what do you see from him, man? Because, like, you face, obviously, when we do our top fives, he, like Magic and Jordan, those guys, you face those kind of guys, and Luka has a chance to be in that one day.
He'll go down numbers-wise as one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, just look at the numbers and the things that he's accomplishing at the tender age of 24. He's going to play a long time. I think the biggest compliment I can give Luka is that you know when a guy loves to play basketball. You've been around for a long time. Yeah. Luka loves to play basketball, and he's bigger than everybody else at that position. Has more skill than anybody else at that position. And when it's all said and done, I don't know if he catches Kareem and LeBron once LeBron breaks that record, but he'll be right there. He'll own all of triple doubles records, and he's just one of those guys that has a unique ability to do things that you don't expect people to do.
I love it. Well, everybody, this is the legendary Harper. I know legend is a word that gets thrown around, but you truly are a legend, especially for me as a person who grew up obviously watching the Mavericks, being able to cover the team.
Yeah.
Everybody, be sure to watch my guy on TV, do what he does best, man. And,
yes, sir.
You know, go back and watch some film, man, because Derek Harper, one of the more unappreciated heroes.
That's right.
One of the more unappreciated heroes of our time in basketball, man. Appreciate you, Harper.
I appreciate you, man.